Hey, thank you for joining me today on Duty Found. Today we're going through Cutter's Cry. This is a level 38 dungeon, and my queue's actually taken down, so let's get this rolling. As always, I'll be going in as a healer, a white mage today, so we'll be able to see how it goes from this point of view. We've got a warrior, a dragoon, and a summoner with us today. And with this dungeon, I am set at level 40. That being the case, I now have access to regen, which I had last time, and I also have, let's see, what else did I get at level 40? That's right, got Divine Seal. I love that. Divine Seal increases the potency of my heals by 30%. It's pretty impressive. It's on a minute cooldown, and it lasts for 15 seconds. Also applies to my heals over time, like regen, and later on you'll find medic too. So it has quite a lot of oomph to it. I still don't have arrow 2, so I don't have my full DPS cycle. I am limited a bit in what I can do there. But I also got Shroud of Saints in this range, which I don't think you've seen before. Shroud of Saints reduces my enmity by half, so if I pull hate I can pop that. But more importantly, it adds a refresh effect, that is to recharge my MP on a per tick basis. So that is its primary use, getting that MP back. It's White Mage's only method of restoring MP, actually. Now to move on in this dungeon, you need to clear the first 2 floors completely, which will spawn a new wave of mobs. When those mobs spawn, you'll take those out, and the way forward will open up. So this dungeon actually lends itself very well to leveling up, as there are so many mandatory mobs. There's not a whole lot of skipping going on. We'll see as we get further in on the dungeon whether or not the tank wants to take it all, or if they'd rather go bit by bit. There are several optional pulls, but for now we do have to take everything. The bosses of this dungeon are actually kind of fun. I enjoy the first and the third quite a bit. They're more active, there's a lot going on, and just it's interactive with the entire party. The second, that one's just annoying. You'll find out when we get there. Now it looks like we've got both the tank and the Absolutely. The tank and the dragoon are both experienced, so we don't need to worry about holding hands this time around. We might be alright. And the summoner actually is a couple levels above this dungeon. As such, we probably are in for a relatively smooth ride. Alright, as I'd mentioned, we cleared the floor, the next wave popped, and the way forward popped. And this floor is actually the same idea. Clear this out, the next wave will spawn, we'll take those out, and the way forward will open. Now, where regen really shines is getting your passive heals out like regen, and then being able to switch into cleric stance and throw a little bit of damage without having to worry about it. Your tank is still getting heals even while you're doing other things. It really helps to streamline the party situation. One thing to be wary of is when the tank has regen ticking on them when they pull, as you noticed there, immediately the hate goes to the healer, as the regen will tick, causing a heal, which directs all the mob's attention to you when you don't have any previous hate on, or when the tank doesn't have any initial hate on them. So you do want to be wary of when you're placing regen on the tank, and some tanks will actually click it off. You can right-click on your debuffs on the bar there, and it will shut them off, which is nice. Or your buffs, I should say, rather than your debuffs. So yeah, I popped Shroud of Saints. I already didn't have much hate, but I am getting MP back at a much faster clip than I normally would. There are no graphics for that MP regeneration, the refresh. It's just a matter of the ticks there. So it's rather difficult to actually quantify. This is the last of these limited sentries. There we are, the shifting sands. We'll take this down to the next area. Alright, there is one optional pull here, and then it takes us into the first boss. So we'll go through here. There are bombs here, the shrapnel. They will self-destruct at around 25% or so HP. There are two major methods to dealing with them. You can either focus them down, like the tank prefers here, or you can just ignore them. That's actually my preferred method. You leave them for last, poke them a couple times, get them down into the self-destruct range, and then you just leave them be. Let them blow up. Just get out of range, and there's nothing to worry about. Throughout this dungeon, you'll notice the sand pits here. There are some that just spawn randomly around target players, so you'll need to dodge away from those, and others that are static that just keep doing damage. It's actually a way that a lot of DPS get killed just by not paying attention to where they're standing and taking excess damage. Not entirely sure why the tank is just sitting there.
Now, you may have noticed that the Dragoon there used the limit break. Not typically wise. It's one thing to be wasting and holding it, it's another thing entirely when you are one pull away from the next boss and using it on a trash mob. Typically you want to save that for bosses. But, oh well. Anyway, moving on to the boss. We have the Myrmidon Princess. This is a fun fight from a healer perspective. Done right, I'll actually be kiting all of the ads, running them around, making sure they're not interacting with the party while the party just focuses on the boss. One thing to be wary of, this boss actually has... There it goes, it's casting Silence. Looks like it was stunned, so nothing to worry about there. And the ads are starting to spawn, so I'm going to make sure I have a regen on the tank. And I'm just going to run them around. No problem at all. They can't quite keep up with me. And as long as I have regen on the tank, all of them that spawn will directly come for me. And he's not taking much damage, because there's just not a whole lot going out. I'll drop an eye for eyes, make sure he's not taking anything too serious. And there we go, the boss is down. Some of the mobs, when you get too close to them, or get too close to the boss, will actually apply a regen effect to the boss. So you need to burn through that, or just get them far away, take them on the outside track like I just did. Alright, now this is a room with several optional pulls. Around here is going to be a set of shifting sands to move on to the next area. And we don't need to do anything to spawn it, we just need to get up to it. Looks like the tank wants to try to get fancy and skip these mobs. So he's going to collect them all up. We're going to yep, he's going to kite him around. And we're just going to drop down into the shifting sands. Alright, and he managed to get the sands just quick enough to come on through. We'll probably do the same thing right here. So he can pull away. We'll run way up. Mosey our way on over to the sand while he's running around. There's the shifting sand. I'll stay along just long enough to make sure he's okay. Yep, he's gonna get them out of the way, and he's probably gonna pop sprint so that he can get here well before the mobs. I do kind of feel sorry for the summoner there. He's missing out on quite a bit of XP there, but it's making for a quick dungeon, so you take what you can get. See, there he popped sprint. He should be coming by in just a bit, actually. There he is. Okay, so now the second boss. This boss actually will periodically dive into the sands and charge across, leaving or dropping sand piles on us. So we'll need to dodge those, and then when it bursts from the ground, it does pretty hefty damage. So we'll need to keep away from that. But since there's not any damage really coming out now, I'm going to go ahead and pop Cleric Stance, Presence of Mind, get a good stretch of damage really quick. The increased spell speed from Presence of Mind is really handy at times like this. And before it drops down into the sand, I'm going to get a fresh set of DOTs on it. Make sure it takes damage ticking away while it's down there. Alright, and now that it's dropped into the sand, it's best to spread out so that it doesn't get everybody if it does pop anything down. See there, it's going across. You don't want to be near it when it jumps up. No problem right there. Now, the boss does randomly target DPS, like so. Applies damage, quick breath attack to them, and a DOT effect. So you want to cleanse that DOT, the sludge there you saw, with Asuna or leeches, whichever your poison is. Apply another regen, and throw a little bit more damage. Alright, this boss actually follows a couple patterns. This one is going to draw us in, and you'll want to run back out really quick, because it's going to burst right back up. That one actually gets quite a few people as they're not ready for it whatsoever. There we go. Since that DPS was out of range of that breath, it just dropped the sludge and then turned right back to the tank. For melee DPS, they'll take the double whammy. They'll take the sludge, DOT, and then immediately followed by a breath. Oh, I suppose I can be targeted too. Alright, so he's going down again. Now this time, he's actually going to pop around the outside, and then he's going to burst from the center. So get out of there, and he jumps out of the center. So with that, you can avoid the outer rings and the random hits just by being on the inside. However, he does follow up with that big burst hit, so you'll need to be able to get out really quick. Alternatively, you can just stay to the outside and take the hits and not take the big hit on the outside, on the inside. But it can do quite a bit of damage if you get hit by multiple. That's just putting your life in the hands of the random number generator. And RNG is not kind. Alright, and that's the second boss. This is actually going much more smoothly than I had anticipated. So we're going to move on to the next area. This actually is quite the change of scenery into more of a blue cave structure here. Alrighty. There's a couple different kinds of mobs here. These slip sands are oozes that will drain health, so it's typically I like to leave them for last and really focus them down. That way they don't get too much of their health back. If you like apply dots to them and let them just go, you'll end up being quite inefficient since they'll be healing back some of it while you're splitting your targets, splitting your focus on other mobs.
Alright, and the tank actually wants to be ambitious and try a sack pull. So we're going to run right through these. We're not actually going to fight. He's going to gather their attention. And he's going to go off and die somewhere safe while we get to a place where the mobs will lose aggro. And one thing to be careful with here is you do not want to pull aggro on the tank or on any of the mobs, so you don't want to run in front of them so that none of the mobs will see you, and you don't want to have any effects on the tank, heal over times, so no regen here, no healing him on the way. He is just going to take his licks. Alright, we're going to cut up here to the north. Alright, there's one pull here, and then I'm going to haul over here, cut just inside around the corner, make sure I'm out of line of sight of anything. Shoot, 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 shoot. Looks like some of the DPS caught their attention. It should be okay. I don't have hate on anything. No, 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 no. Don't come over here. And it looks like the summoner failed to see the point behind this. Alright, well, they're going to be trying again. You can kind of watch the progress here on the map. So, ideally, that's how the sack pull works. The tank gets everything's attention and runs through. Doesn't have any, the party doesn't have any aggro on any of the mobs, so that when the tank dies, the rest of the party's in a safe place that won't get the attention of the rest of the mobs, so that they can be raised, so the tank can be raised by a healer, and you can just go on so you can ignore all of the mobs all through here. You'll lose out a lot of XP, but when you're getting into speed runs and the like, and you just want to be about efficiency, this is the best way to do it. There's a couple dungeons where it's really not feasible to take care of all the mobs, and the sack pulls are really the most efficient way. See, here comes the tank. He's going to cut hard to the right, and I'm going to be over here on the left where it's safe. Party cuts to the left. The summoner's a derp and going off his own way. Okay. And there we go. Summoner is fine. And I'm just going to walk right on over, pick up the tank, and all is going to be well. Give him a raise. Alright, now, the last boss of this dungeon, the Chimera, has a couple effects to worry about. It has 3 different frontal breath attacks that the tank needs to be concerned with, 2 of which are telegraphed so they can dodge. The last is a straight frontal that you can't really dodge. It's instant, not channeled, it's just straight damage. Next, the Chimera's eyes will glow of 2 different colors. There's the violet glow and the blue glow. Blue glow means that he's going to be doing a breath attack centered on the Chimera, on the boss. So what you'll need to do is get away from him. The violet glow means he's going to be doing another AoE where it's a donut shape, a very large ring far from the boss and a safe spot right in close. So you'll want to charge right in. See, there's the frontal that I was telling you about that you can't actually dodge. It likes to use it quite frequently. Alright, blue means you get away. And Dragoon's just going to take that. Oh no, he managed to get out. Cool. There's the Ram's Breath. It's an ice-based breath, gives a frost DOT when it lands. Blue eyes again, so get out of the way. See, that's significant damage and a DOT effect, so it's not very nice at all. Dragon's Breath implies a paralyze when it hits. Violet Eyes means to get in really tight. Let's see, the summoner took that, so he's going to need a cleanse to get rid of that paralyze. Now this, the Cacophony, is an interesting little mechanic. It focuses on a single target. This time was the summoner. Go. Violet Eyes again. It's going to blow up, and there we go. It deals damage based on... It does... When it gets close to its target, it's going to freeze and charge up an explosion. So once it stops moving, you have a short moment to get out of the way of the explosion. Okay, I'm just going to leave the summoner dead. That's not worth the hassle. Go, turns blue, means get away. See, the Dragoon actually, instead of baiting the Cacophony, actually just kept running. It's a loss of DPS since you're away much longer, but it's a lot safer. You don't have to worry about it. Here, it's got blue eyes, it's doing a breath, and sending out a Cacophony all at the same time. So there's quite a lot going on here. Looks like the Dragoon made it just fine. And with the summoner down, I'm actually going to have to throw out some damage here. Help out, get things going. There we go, blue. Send back away. Focusing on the Dragoon again, as it does typically try to target DPS.
violet means get in, get in, get in. Dragoon probably isn't going to make it unless he uses a Spine Shatter dive right here. There we go, he didn't quite make it. So we're going to give him a Cleanse, get rid of the Paralyze, and an Asuna to get rid of, or to, and a Regen to give him some health back. Now this drops a Ice AoE on the floor there. If the tank was paying attention or considerate, he would move the boss out of it, so you wouldn't need to worry about it. But I think he's a little preoccupied at the moment. There we go, Violet Eyes, get in close. And with that, the Dragoon actually was on a completely different level, height level, so he avoided it. It's a nice thing to watch out for there. There we go, we've got a LB2 coming out. Significant damage there to the boss. Okay, Blue Eyes, and its Cacophony targeted on me. So let's see if I can bait it. So, we're running close to it. It's going to stop. Oh, okay. Didn't quite get it. Throw out a little bit of damage here while the Dragoon is dodging the Cacophony. Dragon's Voice, so again that's the Violet getting close. And again the Dragoon was nice and far away, so they were able to avoid that. And we'll actually take care of the boss right here. This can be actually one of the more frustrating bosses because it's got so many effects and a lot of new players just aren't ready for them. I think actually really knew what they were doing, so I'm going to go ahead and give them my commendation today. And we're going to go ahead and head on out. Alrighty, this has been Cutter's Cry, the level 38 dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV. You saw it from a white mage perspective, wherein I was at a level 40 cap. Saw the abilities to be showcased there. Regen had a spotlight. Asuna had plenty of use. I actually didn't really use Divine Seal that time, so it's one of those. It's there if you need it, and it's a good practice to use it regularly. However, if you don't feel bad. It's more a way to conserve MP by using more efficient cures. Alrighty, as I had said, thank you for joining me. This has been Duty Found, and I hope you join me again next time. I believe we will be going into the Stone Vigil. This is the next actual storyline dungeon, the Cutter's Cry being a side quest dungeon. Alrighty, have a good night, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to contact me as always. Good night, everybody.